Welcome, Diecast fans. I'm Tom Spanners-Watson.
And I'm Frankie Gibbs.
And welcome to the final round of Fords versus Holdens.
And after an incredible effort by the Holdens last week, it's 3 against 1.
Let's take a look at the finalists. Driving the only Ford is Katie, driving the K&N Ford Thunderbird.
And look, whilst I think the Thunderbird is a good-looking car, Katie has got her work cut out going up against the Holden SS Utes of Derek and James.
Yeah, look, I got to agree. Those Holden Utes seem to be setting the pace last week. And then rounding out the field is the other Pro Street car driven by James.
Somebody was complaining the other week that we keep calling it a Holden Monaro when on the tin it says Pontiac GTO, or down in this part of the world it was called a Holden Monaro.
Well, as expected, Derek takes the lead.
It's the power of the mighty Holden V8.
Oh, but he gets a bit loose going through the second dogleg. Katie trying to catch up. She's closing the gap on him, but he feeds the Holden some channel and takes the first win.
And you know what's even more impressive? Is we've just had all 4 drivers finish.
Yeah, it was surprisingly clean considering some of the other races.
But check out the battle for third here. The Monaro of Jane goes a little bit wide and James just slips right on by.
And then check this out over the finish line. Derek getting some major air sideways there.
He was just celebrating his first of what I'm expecting to be very many wins in this competition.
The drivers rotate around. This time we've got Derek and Katie on the inside lane, Jane and James on the outside.
James is going to have to be pretty careful as he tries to get around that Pro Street Holden. They do not seem to handle well.
Oh, and Jane gets into the side of Derek, but she gets into the lead. James right on her tail. James now trying to push past Katie, lining up around the outside, gets past. Now it's James and Katie as they race to the finish line. James buries his boot in that hold and takes the win.
And if we go back to the first corner, we'll see what happened to poor Derek there. Jane, for some reason, taking out her teammate. Katie avoids him beautifully, then gets cut off by Jane. James slips by with a nice manoeuvre up the inside of Katie. Then James and Katie both pulling a great overtake manoeuvre on Jane. And from there, it was a clean shot all the way to the finish for James.
And unfortunately for Derek, he got left behind. So now Katie and James lead the pack 8 points apiece. As we go to race number 3, we've got Jane and James in the front row, Derek and Katie in behind.
I fully expect Derek to give Jane a nudge from behind here after that last race. He'll be upset.
Well, Jane finally finding some pace here. The other 3 drivers tuck in clean behind. Jane goes sideways. James gets spun around. Derek now making a move around the outside. Katie right on his bumper. They both slip by with an incredible move there. And Derek takes a second win, followed by Katie, then James, and finally Jane.
As I said before, those Holden Pro Street cars definitely have trouble on the track. And poor James, he slammed his brakes on so hard that threw him into a spin. But what a drive from Derek and Katie here. Both of them lined up around the outside, found the gap, muscled on through. And Derek here demonstrating the power of the SSV8 as he just muscled away from the rest of the field.
Once again, quite surprising that all 4 cars finished there.
But considering how close they were going into Big Kahuna Corner at the end there, they spread out quite a lot in that final straight.
Katie's consistency paying off there. She holds first place with Derek on 12 points.
James is only 2 points behind them, but Jane definitely starting to lag. That Holden Monaro letting the side down.
Well, she still made the final though.
Yeah, but she's definitely going to have to start driving a lot better if she's going to win.
Into Bogan Alley. Whoa! Jane almost thrown over the side of the track.
That was carnage.
Not sure what's happened to the rest of the field, but James is going to take the win by the look of it as he streaks away and he crosses the finish line just ahead of the trucks. Whoa!
Struth!
And Jane nails the container truck.
I'm going to have another look at the replay because how did she even finish? As we go into Bogan Alley, she gets flipped up on the side. Look at that. She almost goes completely off, but somehow gets down and then drives right around Katie as well.
That has to be the craziest save we've seen at the Canyon. Look at those rear wheels.
She was giving it the beans there to stay on track.
If she'd tapped the brakes or eased off the gas, she definitely would have overbalanced, but then comes down and completely nails the poor old container truck.
She hit him so hard the whole cab came off. We haven't seen that before.
Well, let's just hope the driver's okay.
Well, I can't see how he possibly is, but sure, let's go with that.
And I see Derek obviously went to the Ricky Bobby School of Driving because he's either first or he's last.
But nice work from James there to sneak into the lead, 16 points. Katie and Derek on 12, and Jane bringing up the rear.
All right, well, we clean up this mess and hopefully no dead bodies. We'll be right back after this. As we move to race number 5, we've switched both Derek and Katie's position so that they're not behind the same person each time.
Keeps things a little bit spicy that way.
And this time it also puts the 2 utes together as they streak out into the lead, tucking in behind each other. Oh, James gets into the side of Derek, pushes him sideways. Katie catches right up with those big SSV8 utes, showing just how powerful they are as they take a 1-2 win.
And surprisingly, even Jane makes it down the track again.
Derek setting another blistering pace with a sub 14 second time. And then you see James getting a bit sideways, and even Jane gets spun around.
Jane definitely struggling with the concept of corners as she lags well behind the rest of the field. James holds on to the lead, followed by Derek on 18 and Katie on 14.
This time, Katie starting on the inside, Derek right on her bumper, Jane and James in the outside lane.
The last time Jane started from that position, she took out her teammate.
Well, that's not going to be a problem this time as she jumps out to a big lead. Katie fighting off a challenge from both Derek and James there, but Jane out in front starts to ping-pong down the track. Here comes James with a big challenge, but Jane holds on, then James, Derek third, and Katie in fourth.
I can't believe we've had so many races where everybody's finishing.
Can you not jinx it?
I'm just saying, I'm surprised there's not more crashes.
Well, we're getting down to the business end of the competition as we head into race number 7. Jane and James leading the pack out this time. It's a tight group as we go into the first straight. James gets slightly in the lead. Whoa, we've had 2 cars go down. Not sure if Katie's been held up as well. James spins around. Katie comes from nowhere and passes right by James like he's standing still.
Which, let's face it, he practically was.
And Katie with a critical win there. Is James going to finish? Oh, he does it. He takes out the fed up truck.
Yeah, but how tough is that, dude? He just kept driving.
But what happened to Jane and Derek?
They both just took a bad line. Jane went over, and I think that started Derek going over. And then look at that. Katie gives Jane a bit of a nudge as she goes by. But a superb piece of driving here. She just rips right around the outside of James, so he didn't have a clue what was going on.
Katie has been very impressive this round, I must say. But how about this takedown here?
I can't believe that James managed to muscle his way through, but look at that fed up driver. He just keeps going somehow.
Well, he's got important packages to lose, so you can't blame him for moving on.
And would you look at that? James is going to walk away with the win here because Katie's on 21. She can't catch him even if she wins this one and he doesn't finish.
Well, it's still going to be a tight battle for second place. There's only 1 point between Katie and Derek.
No one really cares about second place though. That's just the first loser.
Derek and James up front having an epic battle here. And it looks like even Jane wants to join the party. James drifting into Big Kahuna Corner and there goes Derek around the outside. Oh, and they take out the container truck again. Oh, and even Katie has a shot.
What a fantastic final race. Derek and James here had an epic battle up front. Somehow James held on to the lead even though he's slightly behind, and then all 3 drivers caught up as they went into Big Kahuna Corner. James got a bit of a drift on, and what a drive here from Derek to take the win.
And then all 4 drivers having a crack at the poor container truck.
Yeah, just like the fed up truck in the last race, the poor dude's just trying to turn around, and in comes Katie and gives him the bash.
And look, he's still trying to drive off like he's going to get there on his side.
This was such a tight group across the finish, and that was very unfortunate for the container truck driver as he just got smashed by a hurricane of Holdens.
A hurricane?
Yeah, it's what you call a group of racing Holdens.
That doesn't sound right.
Well, that's what I call them anyway, so it is right.
Yeah, that tracks.
I do feel confident that Derek was the fastest vehicle out there, but unfortunately he just didn't have the consistency to pull it off.
Well, James certainly had the consistency. What an amazing race from him. 32 points and the overall winner.
Just like I predicted at the start of the competition, the Fords didn't stand a chance because Holden's ruled.
Well, it certainly was an impressive effort. Both the Utes first and second, and while Katie drove a lot better this time around, it just wasn't enough.
Well, she was always going to struggle against James because he's fucking quick.
Well, the Bogans love it. They're getting all riled up over there.
As much as the Bogans enjoy a Holden Ute, I don't think that's what's doing it, mate.
Oh my God, what the heck is that?
Run for your lives, it's Catzilla!